Alright, today we're having a look at Garden's Adventure by VXLE double O double N. Alright, so here we are in Garden Adventure by VXLE double zero double N. I'm gonna have to figure out an easier way to say that. Vixelion? Maybe? I want to jump down that spike. But they'd put up on the Reddits that this was their return to creation, their first real big serious LBP 3 stab, and I really wanted to give it a shot. So here we are. Now I'm liking the way that, for the most part, the way that it looks. It is a little bit kludgy, but I'm not against kludginess. I'm not sure about these decorations, but let's hold that off for when we get back in the hub. But I do like a good gardens theme, and I think it can be well done. Gameplay is nothing to write home about right yet. Oh, I like the changing weather though. Changing weather was nice, but it's for the most part relatively smooth. Oh, there's a bounce pad here. That's so easy to miss. I mean, that's not so easy to miss. Okay, it's easy to miss because I'm a goofball. Liking this. I like the move into the more cardboardy castle-y. I hate that. I hate that, but I can't hold it against Vixel because I can't make these either. We spent like almost an entire stream with advice from chat trying to make these string bridges that would actually work, and we could not do it. So I'm not gonna hold this against Vixel. There are a lot of community prizes here, which, depending on how you feel about those kind of things, you may or may not want. Oh, music change. Appreciate that. Sometimes it's hard to notice these things on my first pass plays because I am talking, and that does kind of get the it drowns out the music a little bit because my voice is very loud and I hate it. But you know how that goes. I'm trying to think about how I feel about that, because like I like the fact that there was a race. I do like races and levels. Okay, that was weird. I do like races and levels, but I don't feel like it had a really good flow to it. But I'm gonna play that a couple more times. Again, with the weather. I like the weather. We're good with it. We like that. What's going... Wait, are we done? Oh, okay. Oh. Wow, like that was almost exactly 3 minutes. I liked it. That's the timer going off. I did like it. I'm gonna have to play through it a couple more times, have a bit of a think on it, but as a return back to like create mode, yeah, that was nice. It was charming. But we are gonna talk about this more back at the hub, and we'll see you there. See ya. And we're back, and Garden Adventure by VX Leon with 2 zeros and 2 N's, and I'd say that it's an orange diamond. I think it's a relatively strong orange diamond. Mostly the issues there can be buffed up and polished up and made into a better final product, but in the end, yeah, I did have some issues with it. Now, to kind of look at the background here, and on the subreddit, and Leon told us that they'd just gotten back into creating and making like actual robust levels, and this was their first stab at doing something big in LBP3, and I super appreciated that. Like, I just finished putting together my own level. It was the first time I've done a level in LBP3. It's the first time I've published a level that wasn't a tutorial in like 10 years. So, like, I dig how difficult that can be, and I think that maybe some of the issues that we see in the level might have just been a little bit of ring rust from not having done this in a while. Now, to focus on the positive sides, and I did find for the most part the gameplay to be fairly enjoyable for this type of level. There's nothing particularly stressful in it. There's nothing too challenging in it. There are a couple of places where you could die, particularly on those the string bridges sections. Those are always such an issue. I'd mentioned in the first impression section that we'd actually spent like an entire stream trying to make one of those bridges actually work, and we never did, so I'm not really gonna hold against the level those issues, but they are a little bit of a trouble to navigate. But otherwise, you're really not going to be dealing with too much. The only other hazard that you see, there's some portable gas on those, the water wheels, and you can fall off the water wheels. I did miss the jump, I think, on our playthrough first time, getting into the second one because of a layer issue. But they're not like that fast. They're not really going to kill you. You've got those fire bits in the race section, but honestly, because they're so small, I was using the fire bits just to give me a boost in speed to see if that would trim a couple of seconds off the race, and it kind of did actually help. I like that technique, but they're not, from like a hazard standpoint, something that's probably going to kill you too badly. So if you're looking for a bit of a chill out level, something that you can actually be active in playing, but that's not going to stress you out too much, I think this one will work fairly well. The issues I think that I had with it were a lot more in presentation. That, for one, it doesn't really feel like the gardens. It's, some of it is in the material choices, I find. Some of it is just that it feels a little bit like static and flat, and not as quite as poppy as I find the gardens to be. Now, I know that the decorations that I called out in the first impression section, they are actually from the Journey Home Gardens segment that I went back and played yesterday morning, and they do, to me, they don't like really mesh up with what I consider to be the gardens. And I think one reason that I didn't notice that they had come from that set is that they're used really quite sparingly in Sumo's level, whereas here I think that they're just really overly implemented. You've got like those grass tufts everywhere, and it makes things look really, really busy, especially when the grass tufts are put on a forward-facing section. We see a bit, you've got some like gray wood bits, and there's a plank bridge that you're crossing over, and it's just like covered with that grass, and it looks really, really busy, and it looks kind of, honestly, it looks a little bit ugly. The twigs with leaves on them as well, and one thing I noticed when I was playing through in the Journey Home bit was that you never actually see the full decoration in that section. You just see like the top part of it jutting out here and there, again used very sparingly, where in Leon's level you see that all over the place, and you see the entire thing, and it just looks like an out-of-place object. So that kind of stood out to me, and it was starting to drag it down a little bit for me. Now, to balance out a little bit, one thing I did like about the presentation an awful lot was the changes in weather and lighting effects throughout the level. I don't often see creators using dynamic changes in lighting, unless that you're going like from an outdoor location to an indoor location. Sometimes I see the lighting get dimmed down there, but I don't really often see it used to indicate like weather changes or time changes, and I thought that was really neat in this level. I really did appreciate that an awful lot. One thing I didn't super appreciate too much in presentation, I noticed, we see this particularly in the first bit of platforming before you get to the caves and the race. You've got a lot of the platform edges that are being obscured by decorations, particularly that grass tuft decoration that we talked about a little bit back, and I found that really slowed down the pacing of the level for me, because I wasn't quite able to judge where I was supposed to be on the platform when I was going to be making my jump. When you're trying to get players to have a smooth flow through the level, and you want them to be able to predict what their path is going to be through the level, that they'll be looking ahead and seeing, well, okay, that's where I'm going to be able to jump. That's the last spot that I can be on this platform, and then my momentum will carry me over to the next one. And it's hard to do that where you can't actually see where the platform is going to be stopping. It's not something that's probably going to kill the player, but it is going to slow them down unnecessarily. I find personally, and your mileage may vary on this one, that generally, unless there's a reason that you want the players to slow down, or a reason that you want the players to stop, you should be working to keep them in motion throughout the level so that they're more engaged with the level, and they feel that it's a little bit more exciting. Now, reasons for them to stop are things like there's going to be a puzzle section, or there's a particularly, you know, beautiful or interesting bit in decoration or presentation that you really want them to notice. Like areas like that, yes, absolutely slow them down or stop them with some kind of impediment that they're gonna have to stop moving and take in what they're looking at. But if there's nothing like really there, and they're just progressing from point A to point B, then let them progress from point A to point B smoothly. So that was one issue that came up for me. Another issue that's probably not going to come up, but it's kind of like a pet peeve of mine. The ground is grabbable. I mentioned this like a lot in levels, and it's not really a big deal. This isn't a level where precision is so necessary that slipping up and having your finger on the R1 and accidentally stopping yourself when you're like in the middle of jumps is really going to damage the level too much. But the ground is grabbable, and that always stands out to me like a sore thumb. I know that I'm kind of highlighting a lot of negative points, and I don't want to give the impression that the level was like a bad level or that it was a negative level. I did have a good time with it, and I do feel like I can recommend it to people, especially if you're looking for a little bit of a cooldown, a little bit of a chill level. But I would recommend to Leon to maybe going through and doing maybe 1 or 2 more editing passes. You know, polish up the decoration, maybe put a little bit of movement in the level. Like you got those clouds in the beginning, maybe putting them on some slow pistons to make it look like it's not quite so static, like they're not just sitting in the air that the way they are. But even as the level is now, give it a play. I think that you might have at least a nice short good time with it. And I think that pretty much does it for us here at This Go About. I think I nailed all the points that I wanted to say. Leon, thank you so much for mentioning this in the Reddit. I was looking for a level to be looking at this week. I've had a bit of a time issue and just kind of struggling to get things done. So this was a really big help to me. Welcome back to creating. I hope that we see more from you in the future, and I'm sure that you will improve as you get more levels under your belt. But that pretty much does it for us here at This Go About. So from me, Disco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.